Welcome back to the archives, traveler. Not all threats announce themselves. Some creep, some crawl, some wait in silk and shadow. But before we continue, let us remember what has brought us here. 247 years ago, the Armistice of Ash was forged. Celestials and sovereigns, light and darkness, bound by a seal that should have held forever. It did not. 53 years ago, a human broke it, and the meridian has bled ever since. In the chaos that followed, two brothers, Kaelister and Lear, set out to find their missing father. What they found instead was a war with no end, a world overrun by demon lords, and a choice: turn back or fight. They chose to fight. The Spire of Ash fell. Malzarath, the Cinder, sovereign of pride, burned to nothing. The Spire of Bile collapsed. Voragath, the Devourer, bloated and false, was slain. The Spire of Rue drowned in silence. Thalrexus the Drowned, Lord of Lost Chances, shattered. 3 sovereigns dead. The brothers did not fight alone. Valory, an elven archer with centuries of resolve. Tharok, a Rhinarcan warrior who had lost everything. Together, they became more than a quartet. They became a blade aimed at the heart of the Meridian's darkness. They risked everything to protect Iron Cove. They crossed an ocean. They faced armies of bone and krakens born of regret. And now they stand on the threshold of the frozen north. The Sun Vault and the answers they seek are finally within reach. But the road is not clear, and the shadows are growing restless. The rocks descended onto the ship's deck. Kael and Lear dismounted. Val and Tharok followed. The crew exhaled relief. The Spire of Rue had fallen. The ship turned north. The sails caught wind. The ocean stretched ahead, calm and cold. Days passed without incident. And then the northern coastline came into view. Smoke rose in the distance, thin, gray, old. The ship approached the docking village. Something was wrong. The village was dead. Not abandoned, not destroyed by siege. Burned. The ship docked. The quartet disembarked first. Behind them came the commander's soldiers. The crew remained aboard with guards to protect the vessel. The rocks settled onto the deck, watchful. The quartet walked into the village. The buildings were charred husks, roofs collapsed, walls blackened, streets scorched. But there were no bodies, no blood, no bones, no signs of combat, just ash and spiders. Burned spiders everywhere. Small ones, the size of coins, legs curled inward. Medium ones, the size of dogs, bodies cracked and split. Large ones, the size of goats or small horses, sprawled across the streets in heaps. Hundreds, thousands. The fire had been deliberate. The villagers had fought back. They had burned everything to stop the infestation. But the spiders had been too many. Webs clung to the corners of buildings, thin, sticky. Kael knelt beside one of the larger corpses. Its legs were as thick as his arm, its fangs the length of daggers. Lear examined the webs. They shimmered faintly, not natural, tinged with corruption. Tharok scanned the horizon. No movement, no survivors. Val stood at the edge of the settlement, looking inland. In the distance, barely visible, was the source. A spire, covered entirely in webs, a cocoon of silk and shadow. The quartet did not speak, but they understood. The spiders had come from there. The villagers had fled, likely to the sun vault, seeking protection. The commander stepped forward. He looked at the web-covered spire. He spoke the name. Silara, the velvet trap, sovereign of desire. The quartet said nothing. Another sovereign, another domain, another threat. But not today. The decision was made. They would continue to the Sun Vault, report to the silent aberrant company's leadership. Silara would wait. The group gathered at the village edge. The commander organized his soldiers, supply checks, weapons ready. The path inland would take half a day through forest and rocky terrain. The quartet checked their own equipment. Val's bow hummed faintly. Solmara's tear integrated into its frame. Tharok tested the weight of his glaive, Uriel's verdict burning cold blue. The brothers flexed their hands, feeling the warmth of the twin aegis beneath their gloves, charged and ready. The rocks would remain with the ship. Val could call them if needed. The web-covered spire loomed in the distance, silent, unmoving. They would not approach it, not yet. The path to the Sun Vault led away from Silara's domain, through the forest, into the mountains. The group set out. The landscape changed quickly. Rocky ground gave way to sparse vegetation, then trees, pine and frost. The air grew colder. The forest was not dense, but it was quiet. Too quiet. No birds, no wind, just the sound of boots on frozen ground. The web-covered spire disappeared behind the trees, but its presence lingered, a weight, a reminder. The quartet moved carefully, eyes scanning, weapons within reach. Hours passed. The sun dipped lower. The forest thickened slightly. Shadows grew longer. And ahead, through the trees, the path continued. The Sun Vault was half a day away. The journey had begun. The archives record this as a turning point. 3 sovereigns had fallen, 4 remained. The quartet had crossed an ocean, survived bone and kraken, reached the frozen north. A village had burned under a tide of spiders. Silara, the velvet trap, waited in her cocoon of webs. And the Sun Vault, the reason for everything, was finally within reach. But the forest was long, the path was cold, and Velkarov, the hate-monger, was still hunting. The archives are now closed.